Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Atlassian Team 21 recap webinar. That's right. This isn't exactly the live session that we recorded the other day. When we did this recap, we had a little snafu, as some people have experienced before, and we did not have a recording. So we're making another one for you to watch right now. So thank you very much for clicking and watching. I'm excited to share our thoughts on Team 21. So let's tell you a little bit about who ISO's technology is. We are a platinum partner with Atlassian. We've been in the Atlassian ecosystem since we opened our doors in 2004. And, we're all about helping organizations get the most out of their Atlassian tools. We want you to be able to use them as efficiently and effectively as possible so that you can really get focused in on your own priorities and get back to work. So that's who we are. And I would be remiss to not brag a little about some of our accomplishments as a partner with Atlassian. This year, we're really proud to let you know that we were selected as the ITSM Solutions Partner of the Year for 2020. The year before that, Enterprise Partner of the Year, and then even back in 2017, the Jira Service Desk Partner of the Year. So very solid partner in the ecosystem and excited to be with you today. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do on this call. This will not be a redo. We will not just fully regurgitate everything that happened at Team 21. What we will do is share with you our thoughts, what we think is the most important for you to know about, and then we'll give you our honest interpretation, the good, bad, and the ugly. We are we're partners with Atlassian, but we're also honest. One of our values is keep it real, and so that's what we're going to do. Let's get into it. Let's start out and do some introductions. Now, Thad West was on our live recap, and he's a busy guy as our CEO, so he was not able to join us again for this re-record. So there's Thad. My name is Tracy Walton. I am a senior professional services lead consultant here at ISO's Technology, and I work, I'm elbows deep working with clients on their Atlassian tools. My focus is a lot of Jira Align, Agile teams, and my background is from product management. So real happy to be here and kind of facilitate this call and answer some questions as well. I'll turn it over to my colleague Rodney to introduce himself.
Hi, thanks for joining us again. If you're rewatching the rewatch, and happy Groundhog's Day to everybody out there. So as with Tracy, I'm also a senior professional services lead at ISOs. Prior to that, spent about 20 years doing software development and architecture. So I have a tendency to focus a lot more on some of our more technically leaning projects, and a lot of the ground to cloud that we're doing and things that are related to DevOps.
Yep, thanks, Rodney. Real happy to have you here again. Nick, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. I am Nick Nader. I am the solution engineer here on the ISO sales team. So I do everything technical pre-sales. I've got a strong focus in ITSM and Agile, and I love to discover the new features and demonstrate the new features for all the Atlassian products across the stack.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's jump into what you guys all came for and get into some topics here. So as with most team, well, I guess this is the first year we've had a team. Normally we call it Summit, but every year Atlassian makes some big product announcements, and this year was no different. So let's start out with Nick. Tell us what's the scoop with Jira Work Management, one of the new products from Atlassian.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jira Work Management is basically a restructuring and a renaming of their Jira core product. So those business projects that you see in your Jira instances, it's focused and targeted at those business teams, and they come out of the box now in Jira Work Management with like 24 templates for those projects now. So they're really trying to hit all those use cases for HR teams and legal teams and facilities teams, and across that stack of those lighter weight business teams that don't exactly need Jira software and that agile methodology functionality, but want a full stack task management tracker. So it's really positioned kind of right between Trello and that Jira software product. And it's coming out with a lot of cool new stuff that you didn't see in those traditional business projects, They do still have the board alive and well in the project, so you'll have that Kanban board that you can work your tickets through its process. But we see those boards overflow a lot with tickets. So what they did is they added this nice list view that's really easily manipulable and shows you all of that information around those tickets and those tasks. So you can filter through those really easily. They also added a calendar view so that you kind of visualize the start and end dates of those work items more easily. So they're coming out with a lot of new stuff. They actually also created dedicated forms for those projects. So a quick and easy intake system. You don't always have to use that create button screen or that create issue screen within your Jira projects now. They have dedicated forms for each of those projects as well. So a lot of cool new stuff coming out. It's really intuitive and easy to get set up and easy to use. And I think that was their focus for this release.
Yeah, I mean, if they're coming out with 24 new templates, it
Yeah.
really seems like, they're really trying to take the burden off the administration to get the team up and running, right? Here it is right out of the box and you can get going.
Yeah. Super minimal configuration. Yeah, I think that was the goal as well.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you for that. Let's keep going. And Rodney, let's pick on you for a minute here. Can you tell us, from the DevOps side, tell us a little bit about Compass?
So, Compass was kind of one of those things that, almost before they had finished talking about it, and basically as soon as the message showed up on the screen to sign up for the early access, I was already putting my mail in. So whenever we go out to clients, right, one of the things whenever they have development teams, I ask them, hey, are you using the developer panel? Or are you using the release hub? Some of the more mature clients, they're using those, they're using them effectively, but a lot of times it's like maybe they're aware of the development panel, they might not even be aware of the release hub. Like there's so many times I've had to have people actually navigate there to see that, right? And it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, Jira is great for your issues, but from a developer perspective, right, you're working on your code and you don't want to have to go over to Jira and put a bunch of stuff in Jira. You've got stuff you're working on in your code, but then the project manager doesn't want to go through your Git repo or look at your build jobs to see what's going on. They just want to see it in Jira, right? So Compass, so that's where those usually fall into play. But Compass is kind of like take that up a level, right? So it provides basically more of a bird's eye view of what's going on with the system, right? So it's really something that your project managers can point to as long as people are doing their commits properly and builds properly and stuff. All that information will start to bubble up. It also gives you a really good way to go in and basically, you've got things arranged in kind of components. When I say components, not specifically the Jira concept of components, but more, hey, here's actual software components or here's service components that we have. And now you've got not only this bird's eye view of kind of what's going on, but you also can really search through what's going on inside of there. So it lets you go, okay, yeah, let me just search across the components and look for the information I want instead of having to go to a bunch of different places to try to get information. Then it gives you some health scorecards that you can put around the components that where you go, oh yeah, this one's in really great shape. You know what? We need to do some work over on this one because it's really not up to the level we want it to be as far as visibility, traceability, and all parts of the organization being able to view it and for it to provide benefit not only to your developers and project managers, but also like to potentially your support teams and stuff who actually are having to deal with customers that may be using these components and they're looking at, okay, I need more information on something. I need to see states and stuff.
Right.
So
they have the downstream impact.
Developer panel on steroids is the way I have in my notes whenever I was watching
I'm
stuff.
sure there's I've always said that you've done a good job with implementing Jira if the developers don't really even have to go in it or know about it or not bothered by it. And it seems like Compass
developers
is
definitely do not like going in Jira.
I remember when they were talking about it during Team 21, the thing that stood out to me about Compass was, and they said time and time again, Jira updates itself, right?
Yep. Going in and having to like manually work on the ticket side after you spent time writing a lot of code is as unpalatable to a developer as whenever you go, okay, now write a bunch of documentation on this.
Yeah.
I just want to work. Come on.
Let me get back to work. Well, this is great. Thank you, Rodney. I'm real excited to see that Atlassian is putting that effort in keeping those teams humming. All right, so let's go on to, I have a question for myself. Isn't that fun? No, there was some new products that came out for maybe project and product owners that I want to talk about. And the first one is Team Central. So Team Central is a status hub for all of those people who aren't necessarily in Jira working, the teams working on the tickets inside of Jira, but are interested in how the work is progressing. What are the updates? And Team Central allows teams to update, radiate out information about the status of their project in a way that's as easy as sending a tweet. And those who are interested in the status of the projects can receive a weekly digest. Really, really simple. No more status meetings. I'm in, I'm out, and I know what's important to me. And I know if I need to go digging around, asking more questions. One of the biggest questions about Team Central is how does that integrate with Jira? And right now, it does not integrate. Like I said, Team Central is really for radiating out for those teams who aren't centrally focused inside of Jira and doing the work. And again, it is maybe more appealing for teams that are not necessarily focusing on Jira. So that's Team Central. And the other one I want to talk about is Jira Product Discovery, which is still a little bit of a mystery. This tool is in an alpha stage right now, but it's focused in on product managers, those who are doing the work, gathering ideas, refining new widgets, new something for the teams to work on. So Jira Product Discovery promises to make it real easy for those product managers to kind of gather and collect information from different places on the web, or you start compiling things to formulate your hypothesis or ideas, and having a place to put that all centralized is what Jira Product Discovery is all about. So there's a now next later board to kind of help organize maybe timeline on these ideas, and then real easy connection into Jira so that those ideas can turn into Jira epics. So there is a wait list if you're interested on that product, so we can find out more about it. But still real excited to see that Atlassian is focusing in on product management, product owners directly. Cool, so that's that one. And then the next one I'm going to throw over to Nick. We saw that we've got help as part of point A. And I didn't mention that point A is another announcement that Atlassian let us know about, which is kind of the central hub for all of their new ideas, new products. You start somewhere, we're going to start at point A. So help was also mentioned in as part of that point A program. Nick, let us know your thoughts on that. What's good to know there?
Yeah, absolutely. Help, I think, is out into the general public. So it's got general availability now. And it's really about conversational ticketing, right? So it's in that ITSM area where you want ITIL best practices, which means we want to serve customers wherever they're used to opening up requests and tickets for support. And help brings that down into popular platforms, chatting platforms like Teams and like Slack. And it makes it super easy because it's an automated bot system that basically just operates out of one or two Slack channels and sources tickets anywhere from your Slack or your Teams channels. It's actually really cool. You can really just simply type in a message into any of your Teams or Slack channels and then add a ticket emoji to it. Just slap on a ticket emoji, and the help bot realizes that they now need to create a help desk ticket for that message. So you can just type in, I'm having performance issues with my laptop, and they create a ticket for it, and it lands into either a dedicated Slack or Teams channel that your agents, your service management agents, are working out of. And then also it integrates with Jira Service Management now. So it'll create that ticket right in your JSM project. You can operate out of those queues in the JSM project, or you can kind of basically utilize those threads that are created off of messages in Slack and Teams, and just communicate through those threads, and they can follow up through the threads, and that'll replicate wherever that message was created in those other channels. So it's a really, really easy thing to set up between the integration of help and whatever chat platform you have and JSM. So super easy to tie together and makes it really nice for sourcing those incoming requests from that chat channel. And it's just really easy to use. So it's really cool.
Like we've all got several different ways that people can reach us. And I think, it's great that Atlassian is including that, as a maturity, I'd say, in their products, with how people can communicate with the tools that they're used to communicating with, and not add any additional burden to those teams who are, wanting to get those ticket requests. So that's
Exactly.
fantastic. I'm real happy
Exactly.
to see that one. Cool. Well, that's great. Well, that actually help is a good little segue into the next section, next topic that we want to go into around new acquisitions, because Help was recently acquired, but they weren't the only one. Uh, let's talk a little bit about ThinkTilt. They've got a flagship product called Proforma. And Rodney, tell us about it. What is it that you like, or any issues we should know about? Give us your thoughts.
So I'm gonna, yeah, and I'll take a step back from kind of some of the DevOps heavy stuff I was focused on for teams, because so the ThinkTilt tooling, this goes more towards, a lot of stuff I've had to do over the years with clients. Basically, go in, and anybody who's a Jira admin, this is really gonna speak to you if you haven't used Proforma before. But you go in, you've got your custom field, and we know that slows down your Jira instances. Well, what Proforma does is it actually allows you to do, and I don't know if pseudo custom fields is the right term to use, but basically it lets you create forms where you can back specific fields with actually first order Jira custom field, but you can have additional fields that are on there that really don't contribute to that back end custom field bloat. Um, and
Yeah.
and you can create dynamic forms with this, and basically there's different places where you can have it in your workflows inside of Jira, or in regular Jira or JSM. Um, and so it lets you cut down on that, increase your performance, and do things like create something that is going to be a form. Like, for an example, you know, um, one of the evaluations I did for a client, whenever they were looking on some consolidation work, they were very form heavy, government agency, and they had over 3,000 custom fields in their Jira instance.
Yeah.
So, and I know that
Yeah.
all the Jira admins out there are kind of cringing when they hear that. We looked at it, and it's like, wait, these custom fields are only used in one place on one screen on one request in the system, and it's contributing to your bloat. Yes, there are things you can do with context to get around that, but I'm like, look, Proforma is actually a good approach here. Take the fields that are going to be common, have those backed by Jira custom fields, and I think we figured out we could drop about at least 2,000 of those custom fields
Wow.
based on that, right? So this,
And that's before the acquisition, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Proforma is something I've looked at and recommended to clients for years, and that's why I'm actually excited that it's actually formally part of the product. And it's JSM. We have all these requests on, hey, I want my request form to be like this, and I want these fields to be dynamic, and cascading fields don't handle what I want. And
Yeah.
another thing too is it works great on cloud, right? Which you end up with your custom fields end up being more limited on cloud, and it still works great on cloud
Yeah.
and data center, and for the while server was still a thing, server. And I don't know. That's why I'm actually pretty excited that this is actually part of the core product now.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
once JSM came into the scene, the need for dynamic like the forms that are so central to JSM, and Proforma will definitely amp that up. And we're so
Yeah.
thrilled that now it's just part of the
Yeah,
family.
it fills those
Yeah.
gaps. So outside
Oh,
of the
yeah.
consolidation, it fills those gaps perfectly.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. Thank you for your thoughts there. All right, let's go into Mindville Insight. Nick, give us a little tour of your thoughts.
Yeah, very cool tool. I think it was acquired, last fall. And it was an extremely popular add-on on the marketplace.
Yeah.
Every single client that I talked to that was looking and interested in Jira Service Management was also interested in either asset management or configuration management or some kind of data modeling backend for a database to store all those objects in. And Insight really hits that use case really well. So when Atlassian acquired it, I was really excited. And now it's going to be part of that premium tier for JSM licensed customers. So it's just going to come
So
along with your
awesome.
JSM products. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the use case here that I like to highlight the most is you can push these objects, whether it's hardware or software or even like people that you're tracking, all the
Yeah.
way to those customer forms, right? We can even put them in Proforma forms now that we're tying that in. So you can kind of marry these acquisitions together and utilize them and couple them so that they're even better side by side. So you can push something like a laptop or a cell phone or whatever devices that you're provisioning for your users over into those customer forms. And we can do that subjectively as well. So as a logged in user, I can see the specific devices that are associated with me, the ones I have on my desk right now. And the agents, when I open up a ticket against my laptop, if it's having issues or I need an upgrade, they can see the entire history of that asset just right there in that Jira issue view once it's
Wait a minute.
attached to that ticket.
Gone are the days of jumping into another tool or another spreadsheet to find
That's
out the
right.
information you need to close out that request real quick. Yeah.
It's all there. And they've tied in a lot of other functionality too, like the Ops Genie service registry. A lot of help desk teams are supporting, business services, and those services have interdependencies, and they depend on AWS or they depend on hardware servers that they're running on. And so that asset database can store all those other objects as well as the services, and then create dependencies between them and map those dependencies. And you can see, when an incident is opened up against a specific business service, it might affect these other dependent services that are also associated with it. So a lot of cool functionality.
Yeah.
You get the full picture, you get that graph view of all those dependencies and that mapping, and they're tying it into the automation engine. So if you have regular scheduled maintenance that you need on any of those objects or assets, you can automatically generate Jira issues for those on a monthly or a weekly basis.
Why not let
so
the
really
automation do that heavy lifting for you, right? And keep you on track.
Exactly. I mean, the best part about these tools is they're working for you, right? Just reduce that manual work, like do all the work for me, tools, please.
When I became a big Atlassian fan, it was when I felt like they were in my head. I get a new release of the product and I'm like, holy cow, were you in my head just yesterday? Because this is making my job easier. And I think they're just continuing to do that with the Mindville Insight acquisition. So
precisely, yes, it's
much
fantastic.
more goodness to to come from that. Awesome, thank you. Well, one other acquisition that I want to mention here is Chartio. So, I working with clients time and time again, I hear, hey, the reporting that I get out of Jira it's not cutting it. And to be honest, sometimes the reports are just true. Like there's no velocity because we're not putting points on our stories and it's not really a report issue. But I have to agree that the reporting is not the strongest. And so I'm thrilled that Chartio was acquired. Chartio is all about, joining teams on data and making data and insights accessible to more than just the data analysts. So their tools really, really easy to use and get up and running. And I think it's a great kind of marriage of the two missions of, unleashing the potential of every team and giving them some insights and data so they can really, really do that. So I'm thrilled that we're going to see some improvements from a reporting standpoint with Chartio. All right, cool. So those are the acquisitions we want to talk about. Let's keep us moving on with the next topic. So what's new for Agile Peeps? Well, all right. So I'm an Agile Peep, and I was thrilled to go to Team 21, and I had my ears listening out for what's new with scaling Agile and Jira Align, right? It was acquired a couple years ago, and I'm waiting for the next big announcement, and I got a lot of crickets. So we said we'd talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, and I feel like, I was just personally, I was a little disappointed we didn't get any big bang on Jira Align. But I also know that because I am that kind of nerd who reads the release notes every week, that the Jira Align team is cranking out some quality work, and they are boosting the quality of the tool. They are making some changes as far as consistency goes, and I can see them laying the groundwork for some great features coming out in the future. I know that Jira Align is it's still strong, and Gartner recently named Jira Align as the leader in enterprise agile planning tools. So although I was a little bitter, I don't really have anything to worry about because I know that this is a strong player in the market, if not the best. So all good there from scaling agile point of view. Let's see, anything else I want to talk about scaling? Oh, one other thing. So what's really great to see is Atlassian is with the announcements of their new products and a lot of the features that are coming out in the tools, you can see that Atlassian is trying to unlock the potential of all teams and not just the software development teams, wherein Jira software was really born and bred. And I'm excited to see how they're going to continue to extend the reach of their tools and products, but also help us understand the value that those tools are bringing to us. And I think if we're talking about scaling out, they're hitting the nail on the head, but I'm talking about scaling up inside the organization and helping teams, including executive teams, really understand the value that the Atlassian toolset is bringing to the organization. And I see this more and more with Agile teams who are evolving to focus maybe less so on the outputs like our velocity and more so on the outcomes, like how did we move the needle and how are we making a difference with our customers? What are our objectives and KPIs that are helping us do that? So I see that general shift in the Agile community, and I'm excited to see how Atlassian keeps up with that, not only with Jira Align, but with all of the other products. So there's my spiel on what's new with Agile Peeps. I'll throw it out to Nick and Rodney in case you had anything else you want to throw in from an Agile perspective.
I didn't have, yeah, I didn't have as much from the Agile perspective. I mean, I think we've already established. I was
you're all
very
DevOps.
honed in
I
on
count all of
DevOps.
that as
It was also
that's
from
all
my
Agile.
perspective. There was stuff
I'm
around Agile and DevOps, but I
Yeah,
was zoned in on
you're
very
zoned in.
specific.
That's all right. Yeah.
I've
And
got a
Nick, you
shirt
got the
that
shirt
says
on.
I'm agile at least. That's my contribution. Always keep your ear to the ground for advanced roadmap stuffs. They do have
Yeah.
stepping stones that go up to Jira Align, right? The qualification for Jira Align is pretty steep. You do need a lot of agile teams to get into that tool to actually get value out of it. Right? You need that underlying agile data, I like to say. But
Yeah.
Jira advanced roadmaps for Jira that comes with the cloud product now is a huge stepping stone for that. That's where we see
Agree.
teams typically start. So and they're improving that tool constantly. So definitely check out that tool if you guys haven't before.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Let's keep us moving into our next topic, DevOps. All right, Rodney, this is your passion. This is where it's at. So
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not going to go back into Compass. Compass is awesome. Everybody should check it out. That was one of the big announcements. The other one that was really big was Atlassian announcing Open DevOps. So, kind of Open
yes.
DevOps, it gives you a project. Like one of the things it gives you is a project structure. Basically, one of the templates you can set out. And it I think it's from the keynote where they were talking about, is the balance. You have to look at either best of breed or vendor centric for your tooling, right? And what that means is, probably most of you out there seeing the Mobius. That's basically the agile pipeline. You have different tools that slot in at different parts inside of there. You have tools for builds, for testing, for your documentation, for
Yeah.
your post production support, and basically everything feeds back together. And so one of the things is you can go, okay, let me just make sure I get all of my tools from the same vendor. Except there's always new innovation and tools out there that they go, oh wait, this will work better in this part of the pipeline, or we're already using this. We're heavily invested in Jenkins, right? So Bamboo's great and all, but we're heavily invested in Jenkins. We love it, or we got Circle CI going out here for our build or whatever. So what the point of Open DevOps is it's opening up the tool chain. And it's understanding, yeah, Jira is going to be your best in breed tracking for basically your issues, but let's make it to where it's easier to slot in other tools. And that's an example. Basically, for different parts of the DevOps pipeline, you can slot in your different special tools, right? You've got somewhere down here where you can choose, oh, I want to use Slack or I want to use Teams. Okay, that goes into the part where you're in communication. You've got, like I said, build tools. Oh, Bamboo, Jenkins, Circle CI, whatever integration partners are out there. Use you don't just have to use a Bitbucket Bitbucket repository. You can use a different repository. So it lets you take basically the best in breed, or basically what organizationally you've seen works best for the use cases you need, and slot them into the Atlassian tooling, so that you get that more holistic view and kind of control over what's going on inside of your DevOps environment. And so
That's,
you're not actually going, oh, we're moving to Atlassian, so we're going to have to abandon all of our
yeah,
old tools that we know work for us, which is awesome. And the thing with that too is, like, right now you can link different tools, you can pull different add-ons in, and it ends up being this big process you have to go through. And you create a new project, oh, and now I got to go through the whole thing with the new project, or a lot of this setup. Well, what this does too is, with the open DevOps, is you create a new project, and you've kind of got these, from, at least from my understanding on what I watched and what I've read, is you do a new project and you're not having to redefine all of that, right? So you're not having to go, okay, let me figure out what the tools are being used in the DevOps pipeline for this project, and let me look at this other project and do this. It can do it for you automatically. Outside of that, so having your tools like that, it gives you, it's designed also to give you better insight into the overall environment, because that's the other one of the other parts, right? When a lot of times when people think about DevOps, they go, oh, here's the tools and here's the automation. That's DevOps. Well, you know what else DevOps is? Visibility and traceability. Because
yeah.
without that, you're not going to, your pipeline is going to get clogged in different places. It's going to be inefficient. It's not going to work. And so
Can't
part
make
of this
better
too
what you
is
can't see, right?
exactly. So this gives you, using like some of the new insight functionality that's in Jira, and that's, has been brought in and is continually being improved on. It it basically gives you the ability to actually see more on what's going on across that
So
whole pipeline. And that's
it's
really the great part of it, is you choose the best of breed tools, the tools that work for your organization. You work with them inside, inside of that context of kind of the Atlassian tools, but your tool chain is your tool chain. It's not
that's
a
the open.
prescribed tool chain by somebody else.
It's
And they promote, and so in that case, then you have more of that promotion of collaboration between your dev teams, between your IT, between, and your project managers who are in there and stuff too. So as you can
so
tell, I'm a
they're
little bit
staying.
excited by this.
You
So.
get excited. That's what we love about you, Rodney. But it's great because they're staying. That's why it's called open DevOps. Like, we're not going to force you to
Yeah.
use tools that aren't best for you. We're not going to make it difficult for you to connect it up with Jira. So we're going to reduce this down to, like, I don't know, 6 steps to get things connected,
Yep.
and you're off and running, and let's make it visible. So that is definitely something worth being excited about, Rodney.
Yeah, and
Don't
one of the
ever
other common
apologize.
themes is it also hooks into your J. It also, it hooks into your JSM as well, right?
Yeah. Hey, Nick, I
It
bet
hooks
you
into
have
all these
a
other
point of
things that
view
they've,
on.
they've raised. So.
Sorry. Yeah, Nick, do you want to chime in on the connection over into ITSM?
Yeah. So they're definitely trying to make improvements because, things like incidents and that service registry that I mentioned before, where we're opening up incidents and changes against these specific services, those services are supported by your DevOps teams, right? They're supported by your code repositories in
Right.
Bitbucket or in GitLab. So they're making a lot of connections, in the tool configuration as well, where within Opsgenie, when your incidents start to, get escalated into major incidents and flow into those Opsgenie response teams, you have dedicated Bitbucket repositories or GitLab repositories connected to those services. So say you're supporting your main website, and that website has a Bitbucket repository that has a deployment history in it. And that deployment history, they're actually pushing into Opsgenie now. So you can see those recent commits, you
Nice.
can see those recent deployments, and then you can kind of dig into the root causes of those incidents that are coming in. And you can say, oh, we committed, a few things in the past week. These are potential root causes. Let's associate those over with our incidents. And now they're
That's
attached to that
powerful.
ITSM response. Yeah. And now
Yeah.
you get to kind of see exactly what's happening with the DevOps teams and where they're at fixing that incident, resolving that incident. And it works the same with change management, right? You always need to kind of make software changes when you're supporting those software tools and services. So to be able to source those changes and manage those changes and incidents from the ITSM side, and then have it feed into your DevOps teams and those DevOps tools is really cool to see.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, thank you both very much for your excitement and summary there on DevOps. Let's keep moving along. Um, we would be surprised if Atlassian didn't have a whole lot to say about cloud. They've definitely made their standpoint very clear that they are a cloud first organization. So let's talk a little bit about um, the emphasis that they put on cloud this year. And um, Rodney, let's tell us a little bit about what you see with cloud.
So, and back to, sorry for banging the development side drum here, but
It's
one of
okay.
here's But I'm actually going to go to something that actually is it's an obstacle whenever we actually look at moving clients over to cloud. And when I say obstacle, it either ends up being a complication when we're moving, or I've had cases where clients have said, "Hey, we're not going to move yet," and this is related to basically the computational residency of your third party add-ons. And what that is, right, is in data center and server and on-prem versions, right? Add-ons, they go in, they're basically Jira apps that run inside of your instance. So everything happens on your servers that you have control of. You go to cloud, okay, your servers are controlled by Atlassian, except all the third-party add-ons, any of the interesting computation they do, they have to make REST calls in, and those are done on the vendor servers.
Yeah. So does that
So
work for everybody?
Atlassian's, it 100% does not. Like I said,
Yeah.
one of the things I always tell everybody when they're looking at migration, call your risk team in, call your InfoSec team in right at the beginning, because when we hit UAT that last day, you don't want the risk team going, oh, wait a second, data processing is going on over in in this country, and they have or this region, or they do not have these certifications that we require. We're
Yeah.
finance, and there's specific regulations we have to fall under. Atlassian has these, but the third party vendor doesn't, right?
So what? Yeah. Tell us what their answer to that was.
So the answer to this, and this is something, the last actual real summit I went to, sat on a bunch of sessions on this. Last year, went to the developer days that were in Phoenix, and we talked
So
about
they've
this.
been teasing us for a while.
Forge, yeah. So they've been teasing, and they've been building it up, right? So it's Forge. So what Forge is instead of add-ons running on vendor servers, it's a structure where they can run on Atlassian servers. And that is, from the standpoint, I know there's a lot of app vendors that are excited about that. There are a lot of organizations that have held back on going to cloud because of that computational residency, where they've been waiting for Forge to actually be a thing that ends up like having a lot of apps on it. This, I think, is kind of one of the next steps on making it easier from an organizational perspective to make that decision to go to cloud, to go, okay,
Yep,
yeah, we're past this
absolutely.
hurdle of having to know where our stuff's being worked on, because we know it's inside of the Atlassian, and it's inside of an Atlassian contained server, and Atlassian is actually able to have all the controls around that and have all the certifications and everything that are needed. And that right there is such it's going to make my job easier. Let's just say that, when I have those discussions.
That's what we're looking out for.
It's critical, but we can't go to cloud because business critical app is.
No, it
being
sounds like
vendor.
Forge is going to be a big answer for a lot of those looking to get to cloud who are held back from security and risk perspective. So
Actually 1,000%. It is.
yeah,
It's been one of the biggest objections that I've gotten for when I talk to
well,
clients
our
about moving
apps,
to.
the apps are important. It's not like everybody, can
Yeah.
use their instance without them. So thank you for that, Rodney. I'll send it over to Nick and ask you, give us a kind of a summary of some of the investment that Atlassian is letting us know about that they're making into cloud, and how that's going to impact, some of the decisions that clients are making in moving to cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a big decision for clients. We see that in the sales cycle. They're always deciding, hey, should we move to cloud now? What are the benefits? I will say that they are coming out with a lot of cool stuff in the cloud, right? We talked about Proforma being tied in. We talked about Insight. We've been talking about all these acquisitions that are now part of that cloud product. That's obviously a huge draw into the cloud. But I think there is kind of this distinct dividing line when you're deciding between, do I stay on data center on-prem? Do I manage that myself? Or do I go into that cloud and let them, manage my data for me and have that, I guess, lack of control over my own data. So what we're seeing is these extremely large enterprise teams that either have complex security compliance requirements, staying on data center, or they're worried about performance of cloud because they're in like the thousands of users. And millions of issues in their Jira instances. Those are the teams that we typically recommend, staying on data center. Do you want that data resiliency? Do you want multi-node? Do you want to have that fail safe in case, a flood happens in your server room or something like that? So a lot of data and security focused teams are going to be staying on that data center version. And go ahead.
just to say, that's a recommendation that we would make regardless of the investment that they're making into cloud. So it's not like the additional investments that Atlassian is going to make into cloud for, scale and security is necessarily going to change, right, drastically a client's decision to stay with data centers. Is that right?
Yeah, precisely. I mean, we're seeing HIPAA come out in by 2022 is what their announcement said. I don't know if I don't think FedRAMP has a date for the cloud quite yet,
Not yet.
which is why we're seeing some of those teams with that security compliance stay on data center. But cloud has a lot to offer for teams that don't have those requirements, right? Cloud means you don't have to manage that infrastructure and have resources around managing that infrastructure. You don't have to worry about pushing updates, right? You just get the updates and you get all that new functionality out of the box. So a lot of benefits to being in the cloud. It's also tied in, like all of your products are tied in together, right? You've got Atlassian Access to manage those users and tie in all those products. You can do product provisioning all from Atlassian Access, whether you have 3 Atlassian tools or all 10 of them that are in the cloud. So it's all kind of in one place, and they play really well together, and they've got much more native integrations to each other since they're all within that Atlassian database and ecosystem.
All right. All right. Well, all right. So cloud front and center. It's going to be that way for a while. We definitely see more and more adoption of cloud. But let's not forget about data center and move on to our next topic here and see. Okay, well, we did see some spotlights for data center, and so let's talk about them. And Rodney, Kubernetes. This is what Thad said he had for breakfast. So explain for us, please.
So basically, right, this is one of the things that the people who've been doing data center have been interested in for a while now. You can use, you can deploy your basically your apps inside of containers, but really the full management of that hasn't been supported, right? So if I need to spin up nodes, spin down nodes, and basically I need to handle a lot of the orchestration around my cluster, whether it's Confluence or Jira. Probably you got both if you're a data center in most cases. Kubernetes is, to the best of breed comments, Kubernetes is actually one of the best in breed basically container orchestration tools out there in management, right? It's used all over the place for specifically the cases where you are having to manage multiple containers that are having to talk to each other, that are going up, down, that there's going sideways. There's all kinds of controls you're having to do around it, and that's why you want to really have a good tool in place to actually manage around those.
So
and that's
it
basically adding Kubernetes in. It gives you better management of your data center clusters, right? So
awesome.
as far as virtualized apps, and this is something that from the SysOps perspective, people have been asking for a while. Hey, let's have this fully supported. Yeah, there've been people who've kind of gotten things to work inside of Kubernetes, but to have it officially supported now,
that was the big announcement, right?
great.
For data
Yeah,
center.
that was the big one. That one, and then of course Bamboo Data Center was the
There you
second
go.
big one.
A lot of people asking for that.
When is Bamboo going to be in data center? We need it in data center, and that was the other one where it's officially announced now that it's it's going to be a data center product, and they had some new features listed that actually are going to be available inside of Bamboo Center.
All right. Well, speed round is starting now. Nick, do you have any before we go into away from data center, I just want to give Nick a chance if he has any like 1-2 quick data center highlights that we missed or anything you want to call out, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, really quickly, I just wanted to call out that they're not leaving their data center and their on-prem customers behind, right? They're actually supporting some of these hybrid cloud and on-prem instances and environments. So they're tying in things like JSM Data Center to Opsgenie Cloud or to Confluence Cloud. So if you do want to have your documentation in the cloud, and of course, Opsgenie being exclusively in the cloud, you can still tie those into your data center instance, right? You can still have them play together, and they're starting to support a lot more of that interconnectability between those on-prem platforms and instances in the cloud ones.
Awesome. That's great to see. Clients get more choices that way, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, thanks. Okay, let's move into our lightning round. And we'll give out quick answers. So I got a couple of questions here I want Nick and Rodney, and I'll share some too, your most excited to see feature announcement. Rodney, go.
So I think I kind of dominated this conversation. Everything DevOps. It's awesome. DevOps for the win.
Surprise. Yeah, no, that's great. And quick,
Uh,
thank you. Nick, what you got?
Anything coming out with ITSM and JSM, they're coming out with a boatload of stuff. That pro forma is going to be built in, insights built in. They've got a change calendar coming out for change management people. They've got Chartio. They've got personalized portals coming out soon. Delegated administration, bringing some of that Jira admin stuff down to the project level. So a lot of cool stuff coming out. They're also tying in an integrated knowledge base, so you won't even need the Confluence product to have a knowledge base supporting your help
Ooh.
desk. So a lot of cool stuff.
Awesome, great. Yeah, and I saw Insights, which is, I think, the beginnings of the reporting becoming more powerful inside of Jira. So if, right from the backlog screen or right from the active sprint screen, I can see stats that are important for the team to make better decisions right there on the screen. I don't have to wait until later to go run a report and, file through it. So
It's
Insights was
incorporated
a
into
feature.
DevOps too.
Yeah, it is. It is in the new
Fair.
deployment screen, right? Yeah. So I'm very excited about Insights. And then just to speak on Thad's behalf, because we all know he's a huge Confluence fan, some of the features that came out there, nudges. So if you want to see who's actually, if somebody hasn't responded to your app mention, you can nudge them. You can see if they saw your app mention. Um, Also opening up Confluence to external collaboration. What? People have been asking for that for years. And of course, additional
Finally.
features around automation. So really great announcements and features that we're excited about. Next lightning round topic, must watch. So there is what is the most appropriate crap ton of content on Team 21, and we watched a ton of them, and we want to call out some of our favorites. So one or two of your most favorite must watch pieces of content from Team 21. Nick.
I gotta say, what's new with Jira Service Management and Ops Genie? I'm a functionality freak. Gotta see those new features that are coming out. Gotta see what they're bringing to the tools, and
All the
they cover
candy.
a lot of those. Exactly.
The
What can the tools
candy.
do for me? So they're coming out with a lot of those cool new pieces of functionality in JSM and Ops Genie, and that one covered all of them. So very cool video.
Awesome, awesome. Uh, Gene Kim's The Unicorn Project and the 5 Ideals was phenomenal. Gene Kim is a great speaker, and he covers a wide range of not only DevOps topics, but any Agile related. It's really should just be called How to Run a Fantastic Business. And great speaker. And the other one is from Envision. They did a talk called Achieving Startup Speed in an Enterprise Product Organization, all about that entrepreneurial spirit within an org and how to get new ideas out the door. So 2 great talks that I think are must watch. Rodney, what you got?
Ian Buchanan's panel discussion on how an open approach to DevOps gives you the flexibility to adapt to anything.
Awesome.
Great panel discussion. Just pretty good insights there into kind of some of the open tool chain ideas and stuff.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then the Next Generation of Leadership by Malcolm Gladwell is one of the keynotes. Oh man, he touched on some really great ideas to get us thinking about teams and how we're evolving. He talked about weak link teams. He talked about strong link teams, and I think the analogies are very relevant today. So really great speaker and good talk. Recommend that one. And then Humans at the Heart of Teamwork by Mike Cannon Brooks, and definitely want to hit that. He kind of like spit out all of the features and products all in this, like all in his talk. So if you don't get a chance to get to all the other ones, you want to listen to that one. All right, that was it for our round robin lightning question round. And I think we're wrapping up. So thank you for making it through all the way with us and joining us for this discussion. We don't want to leave you without anything else. Want you to follow up and stay in contact with us or reach out to our website and get some follow-up. So if you're wondering where we are, where should we go as far as, are we ready to get into cloud? We have a quiz available for you. It's at isostech.com/cloud-quiz. And you go ahead and fill out few easy questions, and we'll give you some guidance there. And believe me, not every answer is you're going to go to cloud. So go ahead and check that out. And then we also have a white paper for you. You can download on Jira Service Management, isotech.com/JSM-white paper. So a couple of goodies to leave behind with you. Again, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to our thoughts. And of course, if you have any questions or want to reach out and connect with us, we invite you to do so. Here's the information on the screen. You can always give us a call at 855-ISOs. That's pretty cool. So reach out to us. Thank you again for spending your time with us, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, everybody.